and welcome to the It Doesn't Hold Up podcast. We review and re-evaluate all things we remember fondly from our childhood and years prior to see if they still hold up. And more often than not, they probably don't. I'm Stuart Shepherd, along with my co-host and good friend Michael Smith. Smith, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. I was going to come up with some witty statement like I normally do, or at least faux witty. I try to be witty and fail miserably most times. Except we're now talking about a film where the main character barely speaks.
Oh, so quite apt. You could have just done something like this. Yeah.
Yeah, how am I feeling? Yeah, something like that.
Excellent. Well,
Great start.
great start. Great start.
Great
Bravo.
start.
Well, anyway, before we move on to this episode's nomination, as always, we'd like to talk about last week, which was Super Mario Brothers. Now, actually,
Talked about it enough last week.
we did talk about enough, but believe it or not, there was actually something I left out. Can you believe it? You know, it's our longest episode yet, but there was something we forgot to mention. There is actually a post-credit scene. So I'm not sure if you
Is
watched.
there?
There is. I don't know if you watched right to the end of the
How
episode.
do I not know that?
Right at the end, it's very tongue-in-cheek, very meta. There's two Japanese dudes standing there with briefcases. They're like, "Oh, I see you want to take your story and you want to make it into a big screen adaptation." You think, "Oh, they're going to be talking to the Marios." It cuts to Iggy and Spike. It goes, "Yeah, we should be called the Super Koopa Cousins." And then it cuts. I was like, "Oh." The trouble is, the minute that film ended, people probably switched it off immediately, so no one ever knows there was a post-credit scene.
I have seen that film countless times in my life, and I've never seen that. How did
Well,
I not know that was that? That's you've blown my mind.
well, I don't know if you
Well,
want to, after this
minute
episode,
three.
go check that out. Whether you just want to erase it completely, I don't know. But yeah. So yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. But yes, as mentioned, that was our longest episode yet. And some of the feedback I got was, Jesus, that episode was long, but my God, was it funny. So thank you very much. Also, this is the first time we got feedback before we even did the podcast, because when I announced we were going to do Super Mario Brothers, some of the feedback was, no, no, no. It was also like, why, God, why? But yeah,
I got some feedback ahead of this one when we announced we were doing Bean. I got why?
well, that was also my response when you told me that was the nomination. I was like, okay, Bean it is. But yeah, so yeah, one last bit of feedback, Barrow, before we move on to Bean was I didn't like it when I was a kid, and I'm not about to go back and watch it now. But good episode. So thanks. It's nice though that you still like our episodes, even though we're talking about films that are complete toilet. Right. Okay. So let's move
It's enough
swiftly
plumbing.
on.
God,
Oh,
hey!
let's see what I did. That was funny. Right then, moving swiftly on. So Smith was the one who nominated Bean for this episode. Very brief synopsis. This is the big screen adaptation of Mr. Bean. So Mr. Bean hit our screens in 1990 and it ran until 1995. Now, amazingly, when I did my research, there was only 15 episodes of the live action Mr. Bean, which I found that incredible because it always seemed to be on all the time. And I could have sworn there was many, many series of it over many years, but only ran for 5 years and it was only 15 episodes.
So I think the reason why it probably seems like more than it is because each of the episodes is a series of different skits,
True.
but they're
Yeah.
longer than a sketch. So it's like what 3 10-minute skits per
Yeah.
episode.
And
So
you
it
got a
feels
break.
like there's more content. Yeah. It feels like there's more. It's like miniature kind of short episodes rather than one great big thing.
Yeah, and I think they also
Maybe, I
released
don't
a
know.
few videos that was like called Unseen Bean, where it wasn't on TV. So it was
Where he was
about,
butt naked,
yes.
too hot for TV.
Well, there is actually an episode where you see Mr. Bean's ass, which is weird. It's when he goes to the swimming pool and he falls off the diving board and he falls out of his trunks and some kid nicks his trunks and it's the whole hilarity of, oh, wow, am I going to get out of the pool? I'm naked. And then he does, and then a bunch of women see him and they scream and run off and you see his ass. I was like, that video was a you. It's like very inappropriate. Anyway. Uh, but also, a cartoon followed. Now, that amazingly had about 85 episodes. So there was more episodes of the animated series than there was of the actual live action. And I must admit, I've never seen the cartoon. I was a bit too old for all that. But yeah, that's Mr. Bean in a nutshell. But this was the big screen adaptation that came out in 1997. So before we go on to, how old we were when we saw it, where did we see it, and all that sort of stuff. Smith, do you want to set the scene? What was going on in 1997? And it was a most memorable year.
Well, 1997, there was loads going on. Now, favour for the UK was running high because unfortunately Princess Diana died in 1997 and the world mourned. And my mum woke me up to tell me, and that's the one abiding memory I have of that day. Aside from that, GoldenEye 007 came out on the N64.
Oh, what a game.
changing the landscape of computer games for decades to come. Beanie Babies were all the rage and were guaranteed to make you a millionaire if you got the right one at the right time. And now they're probably just in a pound shop for less than £1.
Yes.
In entertainment news, we were brought Buffy the Vampire Slayer for the first time. Harry Potter and South Park all came out in the same year. And Labour, quite memorably won the general election with the song Things Can Only Get Better as their theme tune. And things could only get better until 2016. And ever since then, the world's been an absolute dumpster fire.
Well,
One other thing to mention, in 1997, that Ireland first legalised divorce so they could be marginally more happy than everybody else.
it took till 1997 until
They're a very religious country, Stu.
That's true. They are. They are.
Yep.
Wow.
So there you go. So that was some of the stuff that was going on in 1997. I don't know if there's anything in that year that was particularly memorable for you that I've not mentioned there.
Mother Teresa died, but unfortunately, she died. I think a week after
she was-
Princess Diana, so no one really paid that
And
much
latterly,
attention to
it's been revealed that she was a complete shithouse. So
Yeah, true. Oh, and there was the Omar bombing as well. I remember that. Oh no, that was 98.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
98. No, ignore me. Sorry, ignore me. No. Well, anyway, that's plenty to go on. So yeah, lots going on in 1997.
1997.
And in amongst that, Mr. Bean was released. Yes. So, how old were you when you first came across this cinematic masterpiece, and where did you first see it?
I saw it at the cinema, and I was 12 years old. I cannot remember what cinema I saw it at. My memory isn't that good. But I was 12 years old. I wasn't a particularly big fan of the Bean TV show. But it was something that was on at the cinema, and me being a young man, liked to go to the cinema as often as I possibly could. And so I went to see this with my dad. How about you, Stu?
Now, I never saw this as a kid. Now, I remember vividly being at the cinema and seeing the trailer for it, and it was the teaser one. It's the bit when he's in the photo booth doing the "Do you feel lucky, punk" and all that. And I thought it was a piss take. I thought, oh, this ain't a film. This is just some funny thing they've done for haha in the cinema. Yeah, it's just a really silly advert just to make people laugh, like a pepperoni advert or something like that. But no, it turns out it was actually a film. And I remember thinking, okay. And then when they started releasing the proper theatrical trailer for it, I remember going, well, this looks a bit silly. This doesn't look like Mr. Bean. This just looks like a very typical fish out water going to America film that we've seen time and time again. So didn't see it when it first came out.
So,
go on.
No, go on, carry on.
I was going to say, I didn't watch it properly until a couple of nights ago when I sat down, but I caught bits and pieces of it when it was on like Sky Movies. So when I was a student at uni, I'd have days off and I was supposed to be revising or reading books or whatever. I'd just have random films on. So I'd seen bits and pieces of the movie, not in chronological order. Like I'd see, well, we'll talk about it, but various plot points, I've seen them in random order. So as I watched it the other day, I was like, I think I've kind of seen this. So I'd seen about 70% of it, but not until I was in my 20s. So I certainly never watched it when I was 12 that you did at cinema.
So what you're saying is that by selecting this, I've completely blown up the premise of this entire podcast.
No. I let you have
something that you haven't seen because I just assumed you'd seen all the same films as me.
Well, do you know what? Then when I did sit down and watch it, I was like, well, I've pretty much seen this film already. I've seen everything I need to have seen. So yeah, no, that does need to be our rule. Whatever we choose for the other, we've had to seen it. But I'd seen enough of it to count. So you just about got in there. You just about got in there within the guidelines.
This is going to be the problem if we surprise each other with our choices, which we do, is that we're going to come up with ones that we've not seen occasionally.
Oh, that's awkward.
You maybe I've seen everything. So.
That's true. Might try and trump you with something. No, I might try and trump you with something. Oh no, I've seen that. Shit. Right then. Okay, so we will move into the plot synopsis. And yeah, Smith, keep me sensible. And if we're droning on too much like we did with Super Mario Brothers, let's move it along. Although
there isn't a lot of plot here. It's going to take too long to get through it.
And I think for Mario Brothers, literally every single scene was really stupid, so we had to make fun of it. So some of this stuff isn't too stupid. So cool. Right, so the film opens on Mr. Bean's iconic flat, and he's having a shave with an electric razor. And quite hilariously, he's shaving his tongue, he's shaving his ears or whatever, and ha ha ha. So funny.
Health and safety warning. Multiple children after this completely ruin their faces with electric shaves that they borrowed off their dads.
Yeah. Also, very unpleasant. Ugh.
Yeah, shave your tongue.
Ugh. Then it cuts to a board meeting at the Royal National Gallery. Now, I couldn't work this out. Is this the National Gallery or just some random gallery that they've called the Royal National Gallery? Is this actually a thing? because it didn't look like the National Gallery like the ones in Trafalgar Square. So I didn't know what this was supposed to be. Maybe just a fictional art gallery. Who knows?
Yeah, I would assume so. I assume it's just random British.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a board meeting there. Everyone's sitting around talking about Mr. Bean, the security guard. He's rubbish. Want to fire them? One of them is Peter Capaldi. There's a young Peter Capaldi right there.
One of them is young Peter Capaldi. Is a young Doctor Who. There are 2 Doctor Who's in this film.
Technically, there's 3.
Because Rowan, who's the third? Because Rowan Atkinson played Doctor Who in the Children Need special, and Peter Capaldi obviously much later played Doctor Who, and also recreated the plot of this film somewhat in the loop in which the cast of The Thick of It went to America. Who's the third?
You could loosely get around this. As Bean and David are driving along, there's a poster for Jude, and there's a big picture of Chris Eccleston. So,
do you know what? I did see the poster for Jude when I was watching. I was like, I've never seen that. Well, I've seen bits of it.
I wonder what bit you've seen.
I can't remember.
Anyway.
So I did actually in this whole scene. I think the fact they're all sitting around talking about firing a single security guard. It's like, what world does the board of a National Gallery sit around deciding to fire a single security guard?
Well, you don't know what chaos he's caused. We see what chaos he causes later on when he goes to LA. So the man might have just really got sick of his shit. Like, enough's enough, Bean, you got to go. But anyway, they all unanimously agree, right, that's it, we're going to fire him, and they'll let the chairman know when he turns up. Now, in amongst this, Bean realises he's late for work, so then we get the coffee gag. So he knocks over a mug, it smashes, puts coffee in his mouth with milk and hot water, and then drinks it, and off he goes. Now, there's no payoff to that scene, but there are some deleted scenes where there is a payoff. So this was really odd. In this version, they even kept that scene. It's like, oh, he's late, but then shortly after, you just cut to him being at work. So in the deleted scenes, he comes out of his flat, he gets in the iconic Mini, which you don't actually see till right at the end of the film anyway, for a very brief shot. And he's driving along in the Mini, and he ends up getting stuck in traffic jam, and he goes into Harrods and starts driving through Harrods, like the shop, as a little bit of a shortcut, that sort of thing. And then he arrives outside the gallery, parks up on the stairs, gets some fake legs, puts them underneath the Mini, and puts like a load of spanners on it, so it looks like the car's broken down and someone's fixed it so he can park outside. Now, that was a really funny scene. Like, why did you cut that out? But I suspect there was a lot of stuff cut out so they could get a nice trim 90-minute film.
Yeah, I mean, you say what you want about this film. It is 90 minutes, and it gets on with itself quite easily. Okay.
Yeah, but that was funny. But yeah, there is a bunch.
It might also be a pacing thing, right? So if you're building up Bean to be this complete disaster zone, you don't want him to be absolute chaos from second one. He has to get progressively more chaotic to the point where you realise if you've never seen it before, which a lot of Americans, I think probably wouldn't have. I mean, they may well have done, but you then get the sense of impending dread as he gets more and more chaotic.
Yeah, it just seems like they cut out a lot of the Britishness, which made Mr. Bean Mr. Bean. I don't know whether it was studio interference. Like, oh yeah, look, we don't want all that. We just want the hilarity when he gets to LA. I was like, okay, fine. Anyway, back to the art gallery, and the board are also discussing that the painting Whistler's Mother is being transported to LA because General Newton has bought it for $50 million, and they're discussing who exactly should transport over the painting and who should give a little talk about it. At which point, go on.
I can safely say that I can name on site possibly 7 paintings in the world. Whistler's Mother is one of them because of this film. I have known what this painting is since I was a child because of this film.
And so, it's an actual painting. This isn't just some crap.
Yeah, Whistler's Mother is an actual. Okay. Yeah, Whistler's Mother is an actual painting, and this has taught me something. If anything, this taught me something as a child. It taught me about art.
Wonderful. You must feel very special.
Well, I feel very intellectual.
You should. At which point, back at the art gallery, the chairman arrives, played by John Mills. Very small cameo. Sir John Mills. And he immediately vetoes any plans to fire Mr. Bean, saying, oh no, you leave him well alone or you get my resignation. So the board are like, oh shit. And they decide, oh, actually, no, I know what we'll do. We'll send Mr. Bean over to America.
And then they'll go, yay. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong to damage the reputation of your art gallery with this plan? And why would John Mills go along with it? And why does John Mills love him so much?
Yeah, I got the feeling like, is it supposed to be like his nephew, or he's done a favour for a friend, or by giving him a job or something like that? That's the way I read it. Because why would he be so endeared to him? Like, if he's an absolute calamity, I don't know.
Yeah, he's just a lovely young man.
He's like in his mid-40s.
What's your business?
And in amongst all this, we get some hilarity with Doc Cotton, who works there for some reason. And there's a scene where Mr. Bean's like blowing his nose and it goes on forever and he gets a tissue stuck up his nose. We also get a bit as well where Mr. Bean's asleep and slowly starts falling off his chair, and which is
I
repeated
laughed
in
out
some of his
loud.
stage show.
I laughed out loud at that moment.
Why?
I was just so funny. Just
What, when he slowly
the
falls down and goes to sleep?
dropped in his forehead. It's so funny.
Well, one of us that though. But this is going to be one of the many repeated sketches. It's from either the show or some of his stage show. But there was a scene where he was Mr. Bean where he did the same thing. He fell asleep on stage.
Just think, for me, I don't know. Rowan Atkinson is effortlessly funny.
I mean, like, he's very funny. Yeah,
there is something about him that is just effortlessly funny, regardless of what he's doing, and whether it's playing Blackadder, which is of course a completely different role, but is based on kind of acerbic wit and an acid tongue more so than just flailing and mugging. But he does both of them so well and has such a, I don't know, what's the word, a versatile face to be able to do both of those things and do them so well. And in real life, he's very boring.
Yeah,
likes motor racing.
But super smart. When you see him in interviews, it's like, wow, this guy is smart.
I'm just going to pin my colours to the mast here. Anyone who likes motor racing is boring.
Okay, send all your hate mail to one Michael Smith, or
please do.
At just doesn't hold up podcast. Actually, no, don't send it to the out podcast. Just direct it to him. It's fine.
Send it directly to my personal home. I like to receive mail.
Indeed. And the other thing that's notable as well, that in some of the deleted scenes that were cut out, they call Bean into the boardroom. They tell him you're going to America. And then there's a scene where he cuts out, it's like, yes, America, like that. And then he starts doing all this because obviously he thinks in America everyone's got guns. So him doing that to people in the street, that then pays off later.
There we go.
So this is what I mean. This is what really annoyed me at some of the scenes they cut out. For me, it makes it a better movie and explains a lot more later on. But anyway, it's fine. Right. So after all that, we then cut to LA where we meet David Langley. He's the curator of a gallery, playing a very similar part, Peter MacNicol, as he did to Ghostbusters 2, where he was also a curator of an art gallery.
I think Peter MacNicol in real life might just be the curator of an art gallery.
And, I'd love to go to it.
He just plays himself in every film.
Don't know, was he a curator in Ally McBeal? Maybe.
No. My theory's fallen down immediately.
Oh, sorry. Or Addams Family Values. He was funny in that as well. He was the scout when they got off to that summer camp. Yeah.
I blanked for a second. I can love that film. It's one of the funniest
funny
films ever made. I will. It's a hill I'll die on. That film is absolutely genius.
Yeah, we won't be covering the Addams Family movies because we know they hold up. They are funny.
Watch them though.
Yeah. And also, who works at the art gallery is Grierson, who is the judge from Ghostbusters 2. So, like, you just lifting and shifting people from Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
And they've been sent a load of correspondence from the art gallery in London about Dr. Bean and about how great and wonderful he is. It's just a load of old crap that the art gallery in London have said, so they just get rid of Bean.
Who else was in this scene?
Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh, yes. Another cameo quite early on from Latterly to Be Famous.
Well, it's not even a cameo. It's quite a key role in it because, yeah, she, like you said, she wasn't famous at the time, but would go on to be super famous. But yeah. So Sandra Oh, she's very keen on having John Bon Jovi unveil the painting, and Peter MacNicol is absolutely adamant that no, it's got to be Dr. Bean. He's such a respected man and absolutely brilliant, and who better than to unveil this painting than him? Oh dear, what a mistake. Then in amongst
the marketing guys unveiling all of the Whistler stuff, and it's got the poster of Whistler's sister.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is a you.
Yeah, and they've got like Whistler's whistle. It's like, yeah, you just blow up her ass. Like, whoa!
That made me laugh as well.
Yeah, some of that was quite funny. Yeah, and in amongst all that, we're getting shots of Mr. Bean with in the photo booth getting his photos, and that was from the trays when he's pulling faces and doing the Dirty Harry thing. At this point, David thinks it's a great idea that Mr. Bean stay at his house rather than being put in his hotel. So then we meet David's wife, Alison, who is the woman from Kindergarten Cop and Parks and Recreation, Pamela Reed, and she's absolutely appalled at the idea that Mr. Bean, even though she hasn't met him yet, she's just appalled at the idea of a doctor has come to stay at their house for 2 months.
So I was a doctor. If I was internationally renowned art critic, an internationally renowned art doctor, and I was traveling across the world, and I found out that I was being put up in someone's house, I'd be fucked off. I don't want to sleep in someone's spare room. I want to sleep in a nice suite at a hotel. What are you doing?
What if they had a really, really nice house, like one of those
I
houses
don't
that's got like
care.
16 bedrooms, its own swimming pool and all that? You'd still be
For
like, I want to be
two
in a
months,
hotel.
I'm there for 2 months,
Yeah,
awkwardly
true.
sleeping in someone's spare room,
That's
tiptoeing
true.
about.
Even when you want to go and have something to eat in the kitchen, they might be in there as well. You've got to have
Yeah, and
dinner
what if
with
you
them
hate
every
them?
night. Yeah, they might be
They're
really
just dickheads. You don't want to be stuck with them.
very true. Very true. Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to remember that next time we send you to another country to live with people.
Yeah, do right next time. When this podcast gets big and we're asked to go to international countries to speak about films at gallery openings, for all the listeners out there, I do not want to stay in your house.
No, yes. Nothing shy of the Ritz, please, everyone. So bear that in mind. Right then. So then we get to Mr. Bean on a plane. It looks like he's been upgraded to first class, which he probably starts showing off to everyone that he's in first class and he's not with the cretins. Now, I must say, when I went on my honeymoon, I did the exact goddamn thing because I was in business class and
You're
I
a cheap
popped
man,
out the curtain like, you riffraff.
I've never
Oh,
flown business class. I'm always with the riffraff.
you will never look back. You will never look back, right? Now, I don't want to go back to
Financially, I
being the
think I might
riffraff.
have to.
I don't want to be the riffraff. I like sitting in first class or business class. Anyway, so Mr. Bean makes his way to his chair and he ends up sitting next to that bloke from Child's Play 3 and also the guy who is Kevin James's dad in King of Queens. So it's like every scene there's someone famous in it, even if it's like a little cameo or a little bit role. Oh, yeah, I know him. Yeah, so what does he start doing? He starts being a pain in the ass, like taking photos and getting way too excited. Yeah, and then we get that scene that you talk about with the merchandise about the blowing up the arse and Whistler's sister and that sort of stuff, which is funny. Then it looks like Bean has annoyed the Child's Play 3 bloke so much that he's actually moved to the seat in front. Now, in a deleted scene, it's because Bean fell asleep in his lap, and the guy woke up and Bean was in his lap, like his head, like that, and that's why he moved, but they cut it out. I was like, I'm all right with
Gay
it.
panic.
Yeah, it's
Gay
too
panic.
sexy.
That's all 90s film has gay panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. And then this is when we get, I think, our first repeat of a joke from the TV series. So
There's a couple.
Bean spots there's a little boy who's quite sick next to him on the plane or in the next set of seats, and he's trying to amuse him by like catching M&Ms in his mouth and blowing up a paper bag and popping it in front of the Child's Play 3 bloke in front to wake him up, and it doesn't work. Then Bean gets distracted, in which case the little boy pukes up in a vomit bag, and then he holds it, and Mr. Bean's like, oh, great, and he takes it and then wallops it, and the puke goes everywhere. Now, if you ask me, the joke doesn't come across as well as it did in the TV show, because in the TV show, it cuts just as he hits it, and that's what made it funny. In this one, you actually see the puke go everywhere. I was like, oh, that's just gross. It's funnier when you didn't see what happened.
Then when he's getting off the plane, then I think the next scene, he's hiding as if they could not have quite easily worked out who had done that.
Yeah, and I'm sure the bloke would have just got up and beat the shit out of him for doing that. But Mr. Bean didn't know. He didn't know there was a lot of puke in that bag. Right, he gets off the plane, as you just said, and then this is when he starts going along on the travelator. And then, if you'd seen the deleted scene earlier when he was pissing about with a gun, he sees the cops have got a gun, and he starts, you'd never do this in America. They do not take shit like this funny. Never! Right? And
so I'm flying to America on Thursday, so I will keep that in mind.
Don't ask any
smart... They'll be like,
But times have changed. They'll probably shoot you on the spot.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what I think when I was watching this. I was like, just be shot.
And no smart remarks. Like sometimes they ask you standard questions you're going through, like, have you got any like guns or bombs on you? And if you're like, oh, of course, like that, then you will also be shot. So yeah, no smart ass remarks when you go on your American holiday in a few days. Right. So yeah, so he starts pretending he has a gun. The cops don't find that funny whatsoever. They start chasing after him, and then there's a big old chase scene without the airport, in which case he then gets caught. They ask him to surrender the gun, and he just literally takes his fingers out and just puts it down. Yeah, silly, silly prank. Then we cut to he's being interviewed by a cop, and it's the guy from Jason Goes to Hell, the one who eats the heart.
Yeah. Richard Gant.
Oh, is that his name?
Yeah.
I just remember. Every single part of my nose is like the bloke from Jason Goes to Hell.
The only cop in LA.
Yeah. And he asked Mr. Bean if he's on any medication. He said, "Not that I know of." He said, "Perhaps you should," which I thought was quite funny. Now, and also there was a load of scenes cut out in between this as well, because you saw at the airport David and his family are waiting to welcome Mr. Bean, a Brad Pitt look like, and then the next scene you get, it's actually the next day when Mr. Bean's there. Now, there's in the deleted scenes, they've been waiting for him for so long because he got arrested at the airport. Mr. Bean's ended up just taking a taxi straight to their house. So he arrives before them and he starts wandering around their house, fucking shit up and all that sort of thing. And then David and his family come home and they keep doing this whole, as he goes in a room, Mr. Bean leaves and vice versa. And it goes on forever until finally they meet each other. Yeah, it's funny.
Does this explain why there are pants in the oven?
Exactly. Because it makes no
I was
sense.
watching it and I was like, why? I mean, it's weird and it's funny, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, if you've literally just arrived, why are there pants in the oven?
That makes sense. That makes more sense. To tell you what as well is that Mr. Brad Pitt lookalike, they're really obsessed with getting their daughter to have sex with Mr. Bean.
Yeah,
so
because that was earlier on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A doctor.
Like, no, all British men are ugly. I'm like, hold on a minute. I might be ugly, and you might be ugly. I forgot the point I was going to make. Because then she's like, oh, but Prince Charles, and I just, and I'm like, don't you dare insult our king.
I don't think as well.
You.
How dare you? But you think as well, oh, this is written by Americans. No, it's written by Richard Curtis and Robin Driscoll, who wrote the TV show. So it's like, why are they putting in these really shitty, stereotypical cliches about English people into the dialogue?
Also, with the daughter, kind of looked at her, I was like, she is conservatively 25 years old. What is she doing still living at home? And I looked her up and, yep, 25 when this was made.
And very 90s. And also, we might add, because they cut a bunch of stuff out as well, her boyfriend is Johnny Galecki. You will only literally see him in one scene at the end. In deleted scenes, he's got speaking role and everything. I was like, why have you credited him? You literally see him for a brief moment.
He's like sixth in the credits. I was watching it and it popped up and I was like, who the fuck was Johnny Galecki in this? I was like, was he the kid? He didn't look like the kid.
No, he was the boyfriend. And I had to go back, but he is in quite a few deleted scenes.
Yeah, I had to go and Google it. I had to go and Google.
I mean, we don't normally talk about deleted scenes on this podcast, but there's just so much they've cut out. It just adds context to it. So I feel like this is why I have to keep referring back to it. But yes.
I watched it. No, I watched this on Amazon, so I didn't get any of the deleted scenes.
Was it free on Amazon?
Oh, not Amazon. Sorry, Sky TV. I watched it on Sky
TV. Okay.
Free on Now TV. It's free on Now. It was payable on Sky, and I've got it on DVD, but not here. So.
I purchased it on DVD without a box, so just the disc turned up, and it cost me £1.50. Rock and roll. Anyway, exactly. So yeah, as we said, he's at David's house. It's the next day, so presumably he stayed the night before. They think Bean is a real weirdo. And then the son, Kevin, starts bonding with Mr. Bean over silly faces and ear wiggling and all that sort of thing, whereas the daughter just thinks he's an absolute weirdo. And his wife, Alison, he's not impressed whatsoever. She doesn't want him there. And then Mr. Bean promptly ends up destroying a nice little crystal swan thing and then also the picture on the wall. So it's like within 5 minutes of you being here, you've already fucked shit up, and she decided to leave.
Yeah. The kid was exceptionally impressed by a man's ability to throw an M&M up in the air and catch it in his mouth. I mean, I know in the 90s entertainment was different. People didn't have like smartphones or anything, but I still don't think a kid would be entertained by someone throwing an M&M in their own mouth. Also, when I was a kid watching this, I thought it was completely normal for adults in America just to have big bowls of sweets knocking about all over the place because it's a big old massive bowl of M&Ms. I was like, if I had that in my house, that'd be gone.
And surely they'd go stale, wouldn't they? Especially if they were the chocolate ones. Yeah.
In LA, it's just going to bloody melt in the heat. I just eat them.
Yeah.
Couldn't be trusted.
My coffee table would just have grapes, but then I love grapes and they just get eaten immediately. But yeah, no candy.
My coffee table has nothing.
Times are tough. Anyway, so so then what's her name? Alison and the family promptly drive off because they don't want to be there anymore. And then no, was that later? Might be jumping ahead.
No, that's when they leave. They leave several times during the film, and I think it looks like she's been looking for a reason to leave him.
Yeah, because then later on she goes, "I'm leaving you," because you've already left him like 3 times. Like, why are you leaving again?
Yeah,
just stay
and then
gone.
He came back, and they're leaving him again. And I mean, you're really overreacting to this whole situation. Although, to be fair, if I came home and said, "Oh, by the way, someone's coming to stay for 2 months," and I'm not really told you about it, I think I might be in a bit of trouble and all.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if it was like a week, fair enough, but not 2 months. Yeah. So then Bean and David go to the art gallery, and this is when David's asking him lots of questions, and Bean explains why I just sit and look at the paintings, because of course he's a security guard, but they think this is brilliant for some reason. It becomes a running joke that it's brilliant that he just sits there looking at paintings. Yeah, when they get to the art gallery, this is when we get one of the scenes that's in the trailer, and I just found this really painful. It's Bean goes to the toilet, and then when he's washing his hands, he manages to spill water all over his lap like that. And instead of just, I don't know, maybe just going into the cubicle and getting handfuls of tissue, he decides to essentially thrust at the hand dryer to dry his crotch. You're finding this hilarious, aren't you?
You're not going to like what I think about this film.
Oh, okay, no, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, I just the bit where he's just like thrusting up into the thing.
Oh, dearie me.
Very good. Very enjoyable.
And while that's going on, the merch man Walter walks out and gives him a really weird look. And then Bean manages to wet his pants again, and then for the next few scenes, he's like kind of shifting along walls and putting leaflets in front of him and all that sort of thing, just to hide that he's wet his pants. This is when he meets Grierson and Sandra Oh, and then this is when they explain they want him to unveil the painting and give a speech, at which point he's absolutely shitting himself. Like, wait, what? Why are you calling me a doctor? Or why have I got to give a speech? What's going on? Which is kind of a cruel prank, really, because you make you wonder, what did they actually tell him at the Royal Art Gallery? Like, why are you going there?
What did they hope to gain from doing it? Just getting rid of this man for 2 months? Is that enough? Or 3 months? Depends. It varies depending on what scene you're watching and how long he's actually gone for. Very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. And because they must have known he's so accident prone, he's going to cause trouble. So whatever trouble he causes is going to reflect badly on the London Art Gallery, and they're going to get in trouble for it. But I don't know, plot reasons. So they explain that, that's what you're going to do, that sort of thing. Now, this bit I did actually laugh really hard at. So it's in the car journey on the way home. David and Bean are in the car, and then Bean pulls the recliner back, and he just goes right back. And I just couldn't stop laughing at that. It was just so unexpected, and it just came out of nowhere, and it just really popped me. Yeah, that was really, really good. No, I've jumped ahead. So no, it's when they get home, and that's when he's messing about with the artifacts, and that's when she decides to leave. Sorry,
that's right. Because I've got my notes here. It's like that. The domestic situation escalated really quickly from "I'm a bit annoyed" to "I'm leaving you" within about 12 hours. There's also a bit just before at the gallery where Grierson says to him, "Bean was your choice." I thought, no, he wasn't.
Yeah, they both agreed on it,
and also he was just sent. Like, it's not.
Oh no, but they. Yeah, that's true. Was it a recommendation, or was the London actually saying, "No, we're sending you in. You've got no choice"?
I'm sure they said they just said this was ending.
Yeah, but then Sandra Oh was very adamant that we should get Bon Jovi to do it. So I don't know.
Maybe that's what he meant. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's when Alison realizes that David hasn't got rid of Bean, and she's like, right, that's it, I'm leaving, and that's when he destroys the duck and the picture and that sort of thing. Sorry, I jumped ahead. I think earlier she was just very annoyed that he was there.
Yeah.
Then we got to David saying, "Oh look, we should go to some art galleries. We should see this." And then Mr. Bean has this great idea. No, we should go to a theme park and enjoy LA. I mean, to be fair, that's what I would do if I was in LA. They've got amazing theme parks, and you're going to America soon, so you can tell us all about the theme parks that are there. Very jealous. He's being all silly and ridiculous at the theme park, and this bit was actually really funny. So he goes on a simulator with David. It was a bit like the Imaginator at the Trocadero, if some of our listeners and viewers the Trocadero. And he goes on it, and this is when they repeat another thing, because while he's on the simulator and everyone's enjoying it, he's kind of nodding off and falling asleep, which was one of the sketches when he's at a theme park and he falls asleep on a roller coaster.
Did you happen to see what this ride was called?
No, what was it?
It's called Ride of Doom, and then underneath, it's frightening. Like, some real good work, lads. Yeah, that script, you really put quite a lot of effort into naming the ride, and it's frightening.
It's frightening. Well, it soon becomes frightening because then Beans...
fucking 4DX cinema, ain't that frightening?
No, it's not frightening at all. But I do remember I used to like the Imaginator at the Trocadero. It used to rock you around and that sort of thing. It was cool. But yes, it does become frightening because Bean then spots the control room and tells David to go get him another ticket, gets his screwdriver out and tinkers with it. And that's when the simulator actually goes to shit. People go, oh! They're flying everywhere.
It's the thing with Bean. they do this with idiot characters quite a lot, is that they're idiots until they don't need them to be, and then they're suddenly really smart and like they can read a manual and work
Yeah,
the controls for something that no normal person without training would be able to do.
yeah. But I've found this bit really, really funny though. And I just kept thinking, Bradley, how have they done this? It's like, is it a blue screen? Is there just a massive crash mat down the front and people just keep on jumping to it? But however they did it, it looked very, very impressive. People, bodies flying everywhere.
Yeah, I thought it was impressive.
So Bean gets arrested for that prank that he pulled. It was not even a prank. Like, he was just really wanted to have some fun at the theme park. So he gets arrested by the Jason Goes to Hell cop again. And at this point,
cop in LA.
the only cop in LA. And at this point, this is when we get all the hilarity of being silly in front of the two-way mirror, and the Jason Goes to Hell cop, and David can see him being stupid. And this is when he vows, if I ever see that guy again, I'm really going to whoop his ass. Which I'm not surprised. He's had 2 instances now of him being really stupid. Oh, then what happens? Then we cut to David's house, and Bean's ironing his pants. Like, I don't know why this man doesn't wear boxer shorts. He always just seems to be having Y fronts and wearing them, and spends too much time with his pants.
You don't wear tidy whities?
No,
I do. Get a good mental picture of that.
Don't do this to our viewers and listeners. Anyway, now at this point, this is the most cringiest part of the film. This is when David has forgotten that Grierson and his wife is coming over for dinner.
Oh, it's that old comedy trope. The boss is coming for dinner.
Oh, and because David's wife is not here, like there's no one to cook them dinner. I'm like, wow, this is really chauvinistic, but okay, that's fine.
I've stuck 1 foot in the kitchen.
No, I'm a man. Like, you're an amazing cook. We know this.
Anyway. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you.
Anyway,
thanks in the post.
Yes. What happens? Yeah, now this is interesting. There are 2 versions of this scene because when they did a test screening to UK and American audiences, the American audiences loved all the shit with the turkey. So in the American version, we get a rehash of what we saw from the TV series. So Mr. Bean's putting a load of stuffing up the turkey, loses his watch, then goes to look for it and gets it on his head and starts running around with the turkey on
ruins his jacket.
Yeah, all that.
Cuffs are it's gonna stink like turkey after about 3 days.
Horrible. But the UK
version, joke's so good that Friends ripped it off a year later.
Oh, they did? No, not a year later, a few years later.
Well, several years later, yeah, but
with
so
Joey.
Good.
That's what I didn't even think about. Yeah, when Joey puts it on his head.
That's the first thing I thought about was what came first, this or Friends?
This, definitely. Well, the sketch definitely came first.
Well, that I didn't know when I was watching it. I only found that out after.
Yeah, but the version obviously you and I would have watched. I don't know. What version did you see for Sky? Did you get the one with the turkey on the head, or did you
get the turkey on the head? One with the
turkey. Is that right? Oh, see, now my
DVD
doesn't have the turkey. The one that I get is they're thinking, well, can we give them hot dogs for dinner and all that sort of thing? And then David says, what are we going to do about this turkey? It takes 5 hours to cook. And Bean's like, not necessarily. And then it cuts immediately to them just stuffing it into the microwave.
No, I saw the whole turkey bit. I didn't get the not necessarily. I got the bit with the microwave.
It's alternative
footage. Yeah. I did question when this was supposed to be set and why the Thanksgiving turkey was already in the fridge.
Presume a few days before.
I'm assuming. It's never clear.
Oh, does that mean then Mr. Bean's going to be staying with them for Thanksgiving then?
And possibly Christmas if it's 2 months, yeah.
My God.
It's never clear. It's never made clear when it's set because Thanksgiving is never mentioned again in any other context.
Yeah, but LA is pretty much hot all year round, so it could be Christmas for all you know.
But you'd think the scene where they're in the bar or, there'd be more made of it.
Yeah.
Americans are big on their Thanksgiving, as I understand.
Yeah. But yeah, so the version that I saw, you don't get the turkey on the head, you just get him with just stuffing it in the microwave, that sort of thing. And he comes out with aperitifs of onions on little cocktail sticks.
Yeah,
you got that as well. You got that as well. But anyway, but then...
This is where the footage comes back together.
There you go. Actually, just a cheap plug. If you ever want to see different versions of movies, there's a really good website called moviecensorship.com, and it shows you like comparisons between different cuts. It's fascinating. Anyway, the turkey blows up, and next we cut to Bean and David at the table looking very despondent. Now, this really annoys me because you never get a payoff. You don't see Grierson going ballistic. Even in subsequent scenes, he doesn't seem angry with David. You don't really know what happened at the end once the turkey blew up. Did they stick around for a bit longer? Did they order a takeaway? Did they just get up and immediately leave? You never get any sort of explanation. But in this scene, this is when David's worked out Bean isn't a doctor and doesn't know anything about art, and David is screwed, basically. He's made a terrible, terrible mistake by selecting Mr. Bean to come over. Or he has just been sent over. We can't quite get to the bottom of that.
Yeah.
Right. And then Alison comes home, sees the mess, and instantly leaves again. Goes back to her mother's. Now the next bit, then we get Beatles music playing. Yes, now this bit I did find really funny. David goes in to take a shower, and Mr. Bean's already in there. Now, see, when I watched this film, it was really pissing me off. But now I'm recalling it with you, it's actually quite funny. But anyway, yeah, they're taking a shower again. Like, oh no, 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 no. And then Bean answers the phone and says he's in the shower with me and all that sort of thing.
Why is there a phone in the bathroom? Who has a phone in the bathroom?
It's not even a mobile phone, it's an actual phone.
For anything other than comedic purposes, why would you have a phone in the bathroom?
Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, they've got the good news that the painting has arrived, and then they're going to go to the gallery to see it. And this is when we meet Elmer, who's a security guard. And it was really annoying. I was like, where have I seen this dude? Where have I seen this dude? And it turns out he's the bad guy in Darkman.
Yeah, Larry Drake.
That is the single most worst film I've ever seen in my life. So we will not be covering this on this podcast because it never held up to begin with.
I quite like Darkman, as I recall.
I
haven't seen it in years, but I
don't do it. And please don't make us cover it. I don't want to watch it again. Anyway. Anyway, so Elmer explains there's only 2 keys which lock the painting away. He has one and David has the other. So if there's any shenanigans with the painting, we know who's done it. And then why they decide to do this. When Elmer wants to show everyone the security outside, Grierson and David tell Mr. Bean to stay with the painting. I'm like, you could just foresee what's going to happen, right? You just know there's going to be some fucking shenanigans with this painting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Bean's looking at the painting and then starts touching it. Presume dust gets up his nose and he sneezes on the painting and puts a load of snot on it. And instead of, I don't know, maybe just leaving it, he decides to dab at it with a handkerchief. And would you believe it? The biro in his pocket has exploded. There's ink all over the handkerchief, and he's gone and put ink all over it. And at this point, me and my wife were watching. They're just like, oh, no, I don't want to watch it, please.
It's properly stressful. This scene is properly stressful.
Oh, my God. I don't know what I would do if I was in this situation. I think I'd just run away. It was really, really upsetting me, this scene.
Progressively more stressful as it goes.
Even though it's just a film and it's not real, it was just stressing me the fuck out. I was getting very, very upset. Then Bean retrieves the painting and it comes out the frame and he starts treading on it. Oh, for God's sake, just leave it alone. But we do get a funny thing next when he's put a sheet over it and he's pretending it's a trolley. But then some other bloke comes down with a corridor. He's like, oh no, and he manages to distract the guy. Goes whoop like that, and then goes right past him.
And then he goes into a room that's marked employee restroom, but for some reason has a vice in it.
Yeah, no, deleted scene. So
it's another deleted scene.
Another deleted scene. So, and it's fucking funny, the deleted scene they cut out. So he goes into the restroom, or toilet as we call it in the UK, and starts just trying to wash it off with water. Then a huge queue builds up outside of people who really need the toilet. And then he's like, oh shit, what am I going to do? So what he does, he opens the window, puts the painting outside, and then very slowly starts shuffling outside whilst the security people are outside. So while they're talking, you just see Mr. Bean in the background really slowly tiptoeing across so he doesn't get noticed. Like, that scene's really funny. Why did you cut that out? And then
I'm beginning to think they've cut out quite a lot of good material.
Yeah, really good. Honestly, like if you can get hold of the DVD, if you can find it in your vast collection, dig it out. Somewhere. Yeah, and on the DVD, it's Mel Smith and Rowan Atkinson, and they talk through why they cut some of the scenes out and stuff. So it's very, very interesting. Anyway, so then after the toilet plan didn't work, he then goes to the shed, and that's in the shed when he uses paint cleaner to try and get the ink off, and it ends up just melting the Whistler's mother's face, and then he makes it fucking worse by getting a tissue and rubbing it, and the whole thing just becomes blank. And at this point, I just felt like crying. And the thing is, because I hadn't seen the payoff, I didn't know whether he's totally fucked or whether he can repair it. Because at this point, what can you do? What can you do? Although I did.
There's that woman who tried to fix that fresco of Jesus. Do you remember this story?
No.
It's in the news. So it was a woman who was a cleaner. I guess the life I can't remember which country it was in, but there was a kind of a painting of Jesus that had kind of got cracked and old. So she decided to touch it up and just made it look like a monkey, like this priceless piece of artwork. And she was just like,
well, and that's what inspired it, because that's exactly
that was well after.
Oh, really? Maybe she saw this film.
Clearly, she'd never seen Bean. Otherwise, she'd never have done it. She'd have known. So all you need to do is get a poster. Oh, no, spoilers.
Oh yeah, no spoiler. But I did think actually that I think why doesn't he just do that, which is what he ends up doing later. I was like, oh, thank Christ. But yeah, so Bean brings the picture back. He's covered it up, and David's like, "Where's the picture?" He's like, "It's under
That's
there."
funny with the bit where he's trying to keep him out from the doors and put all stuff, and he just opens a side door and comes in.
Yeah, that bit was funny. And then David's like, "What the hell's going on? What's wrong with the painting?" And he unveils it, and he's just with a biro just drawn this really crappy picture with a massive nose. And Peter McNichol's acting there. Going, ow, 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 Jesus,
Jesus, Mary, Mother of Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth.
He's like, my career's over. My daughter's become a prostitute. He's the best thing in this film.
Peter McNichol is very, very good at doing freaking out. Like, if you've ever seen Veep, where the character he plays in Veep is this horrible old man who's just vicious and nasty to everyone, and it's fantastic.
I can imagine because he's played it pretty straight all the way through, and then when he just starts freaking out, he sounds like Ghostbusters 2 when Vigo like shocks him for the first time, like, and all that. But yeah, very, very funny. They put the painting back. David's like, look, what are we going to do? So they just decide to go at the pub and just get shit-faced. Because, what else is there to do? They're singing on the way back, singing Row, Row, Row Your Boat and Yesterday. And then when they come out...
The bit that was making us laugh just was, he was like, Yesterday, and then Beam going, Suddenly.
Yeah. Because he's clearly not drunk at all. Peter McNichol is. Yeah, then whatever. Yeah, and he's basically saying, look, I've given my life to art and it's all gone down the toilet and that sort of thing. And Bean doesn't apologise at any point for this, by the way. He's just kind of just still being a man-child. They get inside and Alison and the kids have come home again. And then this is when she says, David, I think I'm going to have to leave you. He's like, you already have left him like 5 times.
This point where he says, I came back and we've been waiting here for 5 hours. And what do we get? A drunk? And he's like, he didn't know you were there. If he knew you were there, he would have come home.
Yeah, you wanted to leave, we're not doing what I want. But then, yeah, so then David...
your marriage is on really rocky ground. All it takes you to come home drunk. And they go, right, that's it, we're getting a divorce. It's like, you were looking for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't even say that.
For years.
And it wasn't like he stumbled in and started puking up everywhere. He just came in a bit merry.
Yeah, just a bit merry. And
perish the fool. Oh, but anyway, so yeah, David's been banished to the sofa. He's sleeping. Mr. Bean's drinking a carton of milk. Now, this scene is kind of weird and creepy, but funny at the same time because Kevin, the son, comes downstairs and says to Mr. Bean, "Oh, you can't sleep?" He's like, "No." He goes, "I mean, neither. I can't stop thinking about naked women." That bit really popped me. But at the same time, like, why is he telling a grown man that? And then
yeah, sorry.
No, go on.
No, he's like, "Oh, I've got pictures of who is it?" He says on
Sidney
his wall?
Crawford, I think.
Sidney Crawford. And then Bean goes, "But it's not."
Yeah, that's what I found weird.
Before you realise that he's getting an idea, it just feels like it's got strong nonce vibes.
That's what I thought. Here we go again. Smith and his nonce watch.
If we ever get a podcast t-shirt, I'm just going to get one with strong nonce vibes written on it.
I'm talking nonsense. Yeah. Strong nonce vibes.
And I was like, well, this is taking a turn.
Yeah, but no. Thankfully, that's not what Mr. Bean was thinking. He's had an idea, which me and you probably thought earlier on. Oh, hang on a minute. Why doesn't he just do something with a poster that you saw earlier that the merchandise bloke Walter had? So that's exactly what happens. So Mr. Bean grabs a load of supplies, including his Y fronts, and then takes on his head, and he takes Kevin's skateboard and skateboards
definitely
down.
Rowan Atkinson on that skateboard. Definitely not someone else. No.
yeah, but he's renowned for his face. Yeah, but he's renowned for his physical comedy. So I thought, because Michael Crawford used to, and some others do have him, he did all of his own stunts. So I just assumed.
Yeah, but he could do his own stunts, but I don't think Rowan Atkinson was skateboarding.
All right.
So you never see his face.
Fair enough. All right. Well, anyway, somebody skateboards to the art gallery, and then while we're there, Mr. Bean pours a load of laxatives in the security guard's coffee, mixes up all the keys, pisses around with the cameras just so the security guard can't see. Now, why? There's only one security guard. Same with Hollow Man.
And cameras that aren't recording.
Cameras that aren't recording. Because at any point, they could, like, when they eventually realise later on that painting ain't real, you think they will go back and check the footage.
Yeah, because sooner or later, that's not going to stand up to scrutiny. Someone's going to look at that closely one day and go, this is a poster that someone's put egg white on.
Yeah, and then they'll go back, check the cameras, and then David will end up getting fired and arrested anyway.
Also, anyway, start stinking at some point, surely.
Be horrible. Anyway. But yeah, that's exactly what Bean does. He takes a poster that Walter was selling, puts a load of egg white and nail varnish on it and all that sort of thing, and recreates the poster. Not a bad idea. It's a temporary solution. And puts it back. The next morning, Mr. Bean's all
I mean,
happy
that
with
security guard,
himself.
by the way, who's like banging against the door to try and get in, has definitely shit himself.
Yeah, I
There's
thought
no
that.
way. No way, right? I'm a man of the world, Stu. I'm 38 years old. I've had diarrhea.
Yeah, when
And I
you
tell
got to
you
go,
what,
you got to go.
whenever I've had it, throwing myself into a wall would only have ended one way.
I felt this man's pain though. I've been in that position. Oh God, no!
Wet legs.
I can only imagine. But yeah, eventually he does break the door down and gets to go. So thank God,
And they
all is well.
avoided the easy fart and poo noises. They didn't do it.
Yeah,
I thought
he
they
could
were
have
going to
easily
do it.
just he could have easily just shit himself, but he didn't.
They could have just had him go.
Yeah,
They
no,
didn't.
they
I'll
just
give him
saw
that.
his struggle.
I'll
Yeah,
give him that.
fine. Anyway, cut to the next morning. Mr. Bean's all happy because he knows that his plan's going to work. Jennifer gets on her boyfriend's motorbike, who is Johnny Galacki. That's the first time we actually get a
What was the
full shot of him.
boyfriend's name?
Yeah, he had some really weird name,
stupid.
like a rock star name. Because when I saw what he was cast as, I was like, "Who the hell is that?"
Stingo Wheelie.
But at no point do they refer to him as that.
No,
So
that's a completely normal person's name.
very odd. Yeah. So they drive off again.
Also, in the version, obviously, with it as a lead scene, that's the first time he's appeared.
Yeah.
The film.
Yeah.
That's the first
exactly.
time.
First and only time.
Mentioned before.
Nope.
It's almost like we're just setting this up because of what's about to happen for the last 20 minutes of the film. Anyway, yes.
Exactly. So yeah, against David's wishes, she gets on the back of the motorbike and drives off with him. So David's crapping himself, and Mr. Bean's all like, "Oh, don't worry, everything's going to be fine."
Figuratively, not like the security guard.
What's that? Sorry.
Figuratively, not like the security guard.
Oh yeah, nothing like the security guard. Yeah. At which point, this is when we get a cameo from Burt Reynolds because he's playing General Newton, the guy who's buying the painting for $50 million.
Burt Reynolds, old Turd Ferguson himself, turning up. He is not trying at all.
Which is weird because apparently he was a Mr. Bean Uber fan and he really wanted to be in this film. So it's not coming across, mate.
But he looks like he can't be fucked to be there. He's just like, yeah, great.
There is a very funny line that they cut out. He goes to talk to Elmer, the security guard, and then he said, "Oh, are you a military man, Elmer?" He went, "Oh yeah." He goes, I was in the army. I fought in a couple of battles, a couple of wars." He went, "Oh, what country?" He goes, "I don't know. I was drunk." And then Burt Reynolds goes, "That's a spirit soldier," and then walks off. Why did you cut that out? That's really funny. Oh dear. Yeah. And then General Newton says, "Yeah, I don't know anything about art. I don't know anything between." Oh, it's like a Picasso or a car crash. He went, "I don't want a bunch of Frenchies having this." Like, that's kind of racist. My wife's French. But anyway. Yeah. But they unveil
my wife.
That's my wife. They unveil the painting and all is well. David can't believe what he's seen. And then Bean tells him it's a poster. And then you see him being like, because keep thinking any minute they're going to get caught.
Yeah, this was quite clever, right? When he's touching up, they're very careful not to show you the poster. Like you see the edges of it, and you see him looking at it, and they don't show you it. And I had it wrong because I remembered in my head that it was the sister that was there. And as I was watching it, I was waiting for it to be like, oh, he's got the wrong one. But then when it came out, it was normal. I was like, oh, I misremembered the film entirely.
That would have been a good payoff if he'd put the wrong one. But apparently there was an alternative ending written where suddenly there's an earthquake in LA and the glass shatters and then it gets revealed as a poster and everyone's like, oh, and the film just ends. It's like, that is a terrible ending. But yeah, and also that made the film even shorter, but then maybe they would have included more footage from earlier or something. Anyway.
So this is the problem with this film, right? This is the point where it feels like the film is ending. Right? This is the end of the film.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The real ending is really shoehorned in, I think.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, we're running 20 minutes under. We need to put another 20 minutes of footage in. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. And this is the bit then when Bean has to give the speech, and the speech is terrible, but he makes it kind of endearing because he likens it to his friendship with David and his family, and he calls him my best friend. I was like, oh, I actually tugged at my heartstrings a bit. I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet.
It's also sad that the person he's met several weeks ago is his best friend in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
He did with one line in the. Is that annoying thing they do in films all the time where somebody says something stupid and everyone goes, "Oh yeah, great." It's like, no, shut up. It was absolute nonsense.
Yeah, in reality, everyone would be like, "The fuck is this guy going on about?"
Weird man talking with this mad old cow.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah, I know. But
anyway,
he fools everyone because apparently he's that eccentric and brilliant. They just believe all this nonsense that he's saying. So all is well. They haven't been discovered. It's fine. However, the Jason Goes to Hell cop turns up. You're like, oh, fuck.
The only cop in LA.
They think, oh God, they've been rumbled because then David's like, oh, look, I can explain about the pain. He went, no, this is about your daughter Jennifer. She's been in a motorcycle accident. Like, oh, here we go.
Of course,
So
because there was that line about how it's Tedesco. Here we go. Here's the next 20 minutes for summaries.
exactly. And then on the way to the hospital, then suddenly the Jason Goes to Hell cop, the only cop in LA, then sees
The only cop in LA.
sees that there's a shootout going on, so he gets out of the car to sort that out.
Do you know why he has to get out of the car? To stop the shooting.
No.
Because he's the only cop in LA.
Enough. But yes, he is. And then David and Bean make their way to the hospital to see Jennifer. And then there's a great joke when they first arrive. You see the security guard come out the toilet, like, oh, and go back in again.
Yeah, I saw that. It was good.
That was a really, really good joke. And then David rushes off to find Jennifer. He's getting all caught up in hospital equipment, that sort of thing. At which point a doctor drops his stethoscope. And I went, oh, here we go. And then Mr. Bean picks it up, and of course he gets mistaken for a doctor.
This is how people fail upwards.
Yes, exactly. So he gets rushed into surgery, and wouldn't you know it, the bloke on the operating table is the Jason Goes to Hell cop.
You can't let him die.
Can't
let him die because he's the only cop in LA, and it'll be a lawless Wild West if you let him die.
Indeed.
Who will keep law and order when the only cop in LA is dead?
Yeah, I know. Or retire. He's not allowed to retire. Oh, getting too old for this shit. Anyway, so he pulls down his mask, Mr. Bean waves at him and all that sort of thing, and then everybody rushes out the room for some reason, and then this is where Mr. Bean's doing his M&M trick, which ends up going in the poor bloke's wound, and then inadvertently taking the M&M out, he manages to dislodge the bullet and save the man's life. Of course, that's it
back.
Oh yeah, he puts it back, then they come back in, and that's when he points out, oh no, there's a bullet there, and he gets it out.
Yeah.
Why he put it back? His priority.
He also eats the M&M.
Yeah, and he dips it in. I was like, is that acid? Or is that just water?
Some sort of
solution.
Yeah. Saline, probably.
Yeah, but he saves the day. But then, as Mr. Bean's walking by, he's rushed into Jennifer's room because they want her to come out of this sort of coma that she's in. So it's not really explained.
Like, the doctor said it's not a coma; it's just a deep sleep. So coma, then. It's not a coma. It's a coma.
It's absolutely a coma. And then Bean's doing his best to wake her up, like, and then decides, I'm going to use I always forget what that thing's called. When you shock people to come back to life.
The paddles.
Yeah, whatever. No, like the defibrillator.
Defibrillator.
Yeah, defibrillator. That's the word. Yeah. That's the chap. Yeah, so, but then inadvertently ends up shocking himself. He goes flying onto her, and that manages to wake her up. Okay.
Yeah.
Then David's family come in and be like, oh, how can I ever repay you? He pulls down the mask, reveals it's Bean, and goes, I suppose I could stay another week. And yeah, that's when we get.
This is where they're like, oh, what? How's Stingo? He's like, oh, he's fine. He's just got a couple of minor injuries till I get my hands. I'm like, who cares?
I must have missed that line. This is how insignificant Johnny Galacki's role is in this.
Yeah, he's not dead.
Yeah.
We've not killed anyone in this film.
No. And then, they grant his wish. He's allowed to stay there for another week. Because I'm thinking, what? Has he been there for 2 months then? If he's saying, can I stay another week? I'm like...
Maybe they were just going to get a shot of him.
Perhaps. So then we get a montage of him having family time with them. And for some reason now everyone's happy and they're all happy that he's there. And there's a funny scene where Kevin's dressed up as Mr. Bean does not a bad impression of him. And then he's dressed up as Kevin and all that. And
I enjoy the bit where he dressed up as Kevin Moore when he kind of just walks outside, looks really uncomfortable and tries to leave.
And then we cut to the bit, which I always thought this was the start of the movie. It's when he's in the car with David and they're driving along and he goes like that to the guy on the motorbike. The guy flips him off, and then Bean thinks, oh, that must mean hello. So then he starts flipping everyone off. Now, the way the trailer was cut, it looks like when he first arrives in America, that's what happens. So I thought that was or maybe it was filmed at the start and they decided to put it at the end. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, he's flipping everyone off, and then he says goodbye to David's family. He flips them off as well, which is really funny. It gets to the airport and he has quite a touching bit with David and he says, oh, goodbye, I'm going to miss you. And he hugs him awkwardly and then Bean walks off and then he comes back and hugs him. I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. And then finally we get back to Mr. Bean's flat. And this is the first time you see Teddy. I was like, why I did see Teddy?
Yeah, it felt weird at the time when I was younger that Teddy wasn't in it. He also has an entire wall covered with pictures of David and his family, which is stalker behaviour at best. Deeply sinister at worst.
There's one framed picture of David on his bedside table. That was really funny. And then, Yeah, and then just as he's putting his teddy to bed, you look up and it looks like Bean has actually stolen the painting and he's brought it back. I was like, "Whoa, you're going to get in so much shit if that gets discovered."
Because there was the line earlier where they said what happened to the painting, and he goes to tell him, and it never pays
Yeah,
off.
no,
So what did he do with it?
I just rolled it
Rolled it
up,
up and put it
put
in
it in
his.
his bag. Yeah, and then then we cut to credits with boys. I mean, you winner, what a dude,
Well, you forgot actually before that we had "I Love LA" by Randy Newman, which is contractually obliged to appear in any film set in LA.
yeah,
You
yeah.
need to have "I Love LA." I
That's
was
during
having
the
a sing along. I was
montage
having
of
a
the
nice little
family song.
sing along in the living room to that. That was good. I love that song.
That is a great song. Wasn't that in the Naked Gun when he's
Yeah.
the bit with the baseball bit when he's patting everyone down looking for the bomb? Yeah, funny. But no, yes. Then we cut to credits with Boyzone, and we basically see a montage of the whole film all over again.
Yeah.
And then that's
And then the end credit sequence.
Yep.
Did you see Did you stick around to the end credits?
No. What
There
happens
was
at
a
the
post credits. There's a post credit sequence. So right at the end, it cuts to black, and Bean wanders onto screen and goes, "Oh yes, I sometimes stick around to the end too. You can leave now," and just wanders off, and then pops his head back on, and then pops off, and then runs back across the screen.
Now that's not on my DVD, and I deliberately watched it to the end to see if there was a post-credit scene. So maybe it's just
So
on
I
the
have the
version you
American
saw.
version. Yes, I've got the American version. I hope the American version is just
Ah,
post credit sequence. There you go. Yeah.
there
So
you
if you're
go.
watching it on Now TV, stick around to the end, and you'll get several more seconds.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. And that was Bean.
That was Bean. So there we go. So we're going to do our usual. So you watched it as a kid. What did you love
I
about
did.
it then? Other than the fact it was very, very silly nonsense. What did you love about
So
it then?
as I said earlier, really not a fan of Mr. Bean, the TV series, when I was a kid. It was on. I think I had a VHS of it. I had the one where he eats steak tartare in a restaurant.
Oh yeah, and it keeps getting topped back up again every time he eats it.
Yeah. And I went to cinema to see this because it was something that was on, and I think I went with my dad. I went with my dad. He's taken cinema on occasion, and I just thought it was very funny. I thought it was very silly. I thought it's the kind of perfect film for a 12-year-old that likes comedy. So I was big into comedy when I was a kid, and the different style, like the physical comedy, the mugging, the bits of sort of anarchic comedy that are in there. Peter McNichol's extremely funny freak out. And I like Peter McNichol actually, really, because I like Ghostbusters 2, and he was also in Dracula Dead and Loving It, another
He
film that
is. He's
I enjoyed
Renfield.
when I was a kid. Yes, he was Renfield. Another, I haven't seen that in years. Pop it on the list.
Yeah, put him in the list.
So yeah, I just, it's when you're a 12-year-old, an undemanding film that isn't objectionably bad is something you will enjoy in the same way that I enjoyed Super Mario Brothers when I was a kid. But probably not when I was 12, maybe when I was like 9.
Yeah.
It's slightly better than that. But yeah. And
Yeah.
you didn't see it, right?
No, so I only watched bits and pieces of it, and bits and pieces I just found it a bit excruciating. I was a bit because I saw the bit where he fucks the painting up before, and I was like, oh Jesus Christ, I can't deal with this. So no, I didn't particularly like it when I watched it then. But yeah, what do you feel about it now? Do you still think it's fun? Are the bits you hate about it? Are you how's your opinion changed, or has it not changed?
It hasn't. I really liked it. I don't think there's anything you can hate about it. Actually, hearing about the deleted scenes make a lot of the things where I questioned why things were happening makes it make more sense. And I'd love to see an extended edition with all of that stuff back in. I still love physical comedy if it's done well. I think he is, as I said earlier, effortlessly funny. And his ability just to be funny just by being there. There are bits that haven't aged well because it's very, very 90s.
Yeah.
And there are elements that don't work, like the family stuff is shoehorned in there like no one's business. The last 20 minutes is completely disconnected from the rest of the film. Maybe it would have been more connected if I'd seen all the deleted scenes. But again, it is a tight 90 minutes. Like it doesn't feel long. The bits with Bean doing his thing is enjoyable. The plot is perfunctory, but it's fine. The acting is good because everybody in it is good. Even the kids aren't annoying because they're not in it enough to be annoying. Yeah, I just thought it was very funny. I laughed quite a lot. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And you?
I mean, I had a terrible time watching this. Like, the thing is, there were.
Why? What's to hate?
I've got a list of why I didn't like it, right? But like, there are 4 or 5 fucking good jokes, yeah, that really had me just barely laughing. Like, it's so funny. But the rest of it, I just found it infuriating. Because for me, I hate the fish out of water plot. Okay, it always gets used for some reason. Apart from Alan Partridge Alpha Papa, which is fantastic, right? Every time they want to make an adaptation of a TV show, they do something like, we're going to take them away from where this is set. and I hate the whole Englishman in America crap. It just really annoys me. So that
Otherwise, all you're doing is long versions of the TV series. And why would you do it? If you had budget, why'd you do it? Also, if you're trying to sell a film to America, you don't set it in, Enfield. Like,
Well, I don't know. And the thing is, for me, what made Mr. Bean work, like we said earlier, there were short, sharp sketches. They were like 15-minute skits. There was 3 of them, and it worked. It got to the point, right? And there was very little dialogue. A lot of it was mime. I just like, silliness. And that's how it translated all around the world because you didn't need dialogue. And that's what I liked about it. But this, there was just too much talking. Mr. Bean feels like a secondary character because it's more about Peter McNichol and his family.
He works better as a secondary character, though. He wouldn't fit as he is the agent of chaos. He's the thing that comes in and changes everything and does his, and, he's got his skits dotted throughout.
Yeah, I guess. And also, it doesn't live up to its promise. It says it's the ultimate disaster film. It's like, no, he just comes and fucks a painting up. That's all it is. Like
that was taking the piss because this is
I get it. But I still would have
Kane, Twister, all of those coming out around about now.
Yeah, I get it. But I would have liked a bit more chaos. Do you know what I mean? Like him actually fucking up that Hollywood sign or something like that, So I just feel like it kind of overpromised and undelivered. But yeah, I get it. A lot of it was because of Twister and Dante's Peak and all that sort of stuff came out there at the same time. We've mentioned about there was no Teddy until the end. You don't see the mini until right at the end as well. There's none of that. There's none of that
entirely.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't like the rehash of the jokes. I think some of the jokes were funnier when they were in the TV series. Mr. Bean comes across as more of an idiot in this. In the TV show, he's conniving and he's malicious and he plays mean pranks on people. This one, you just get the sense that he's just an imbecile like that. Like, he's not really like that in the TV show. So I don't know if they hand that up for American audiences.
Maybe. And I mean, the stuff he's doing to the guy on the plane is pretty mean, even if there wasn't any sick in the bag.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, for me, there are some good jokes. I mentioned like the bloke needing a shit, the kid thinking about naked ladies, the seat recliner, Bean flipping people off, the simulator, all that cracked me up. Peter McNichol's fantastic and he's really, really funny.
Peter McNichol's really funny in everything.
Yeah. And the film just ends with a nice sentimental ending. I was like, okay. But I mean, I think as well, because my wife absolutely hated it when we were watching it. I think it was rubbing off for me. It was like, yeah, fuck this film like that. But now I've been chatting with you, like, it was quite funny. But I always judge this on would I watch it again? It's probably not.
Oh, you see, I think I might not immediately, but I think when I have kids, maybe it'd be something to show them at a certain age. Certainly.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to go too long like we did with Super Mario.
No, we don't. So,
do you have any Smith trivia, or have we used most of it up as we were going along?
Actually, you've only used one of it, which is the Burt Reynolds point about him asking to be in the film. So I'll go to the box office. So what do you think? I mean, you always look this up, so it kind of renders this pointless. But budget of how much?
18 million, and it did fantastic at the box office. I think it made 250 million.
250 million. So a bit of trivia on that. It was the first film to make 100 million before it was released in the US.
It's amazing.
First film in the world to do that. It was also the top grossing film of the year in Finland.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, that's a bit of... also, Steve Martin wanted to play David originally because he was a big fan of Mr. Bean.
Could have worked.
But they went with Peter McNichol instead. I think it would have been fine, but you probably wouldn't have afforded. So where do you think this came in the top films of the year? Where do you think? So what do you think was number one in 1997? It's pretty easy, that question.
Titanic
with 1.8 billion. Where do you think this came in the list of top 100 films of the year?
I reckon it's still pretty high. I reckon in the top 20. So
okay,
maybe 15.
Number two.
It
was the second highest grossing film of the year, just ahead of Men in Black and The Lost World.
I was going to say, what about Men in Black? But, that's
Men in Black was third, Lost World was four. It beat such films as Batman and Robin, Scream 2, Disney's Hercules, LA Confidential, and Boogie Nights.
Wow.
Completely smashed it at the box office.
Yeah, and the sequel did as well, and apparently the sequel was awful, and that made
I've never seen the sequel.
Load of money. Yeah, because the sequel looks like it's entirely about Mr. Bean. He's not a secondary character, and it's just about him on holiday. But I
think it works.
But it made a ton of money, the second one, for some reason. Mr. Bean is a draw.
I think the second one seems a little more in the vein of the old Mr. Hulot French films from the 19.
Okay.
It's the Jacques Tati stuff, because that was always, Mr. Hulot's Holiday and stuff like that. So I think it's probably taking on that, and probably I'd imagine he talks even less in that than he does in this. And in this, he talked too much for my liking at points.
Yeah, that was my problem with it. And he's quite articulate, whereas in the show, he's more... But there are times, especially when he's giving his speech, he's quite well spoken.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That's all the trivia I have.
No worries.
So out there about this film.
And yeah, I suppose it's no surprise for you. Does it hold up?
Oh yes. Oh, very much so. Very much so. It's a good film. It is a good film. And for you?
No, no, no.
No?
It's probably like how you felt about Turtles and Master of the Universe. Like there's some good stuff, but there's some really shit stuff, and it's not the same as the TV show. And like I said, I
Yeah.
hate the whole fish out of water thing. I really don't like it. But yes, there were a couple of bits that genuinely had me cracking up laughing, and I've had a good time discussing it because I'm recalling all the funny stuff as well. But unfortunately, no, it doesn't hold up for me. So that I think that's the
Well,
first time we've had that where you think something holds up and I don't.
yeah. Yeah. I'm being positive for once. It's
Yeah,
not like me.
well, yeah. I really
Well,
wanted to love this, but yeah,
I
sorry,
know.
I didn't.
Well, I'm glad we covered it. So you're picking the next one.
Correct.
Oh, and I always dread this because you don't pick good films. You make me watch terrible films.
Yeah,
Okay,
but we have a good time discussing them. Right.
we
So,
do. We got.
what if I was to sing this little song to you? I put a spell on you, and now you're mine.
Oh, really? And
Yep.
would say to me, Hocus Pocus.
It is Hocus Pocus because
Oh,
we will
it's
be
spooky season.
a spooky season, and what better time than to discuss Hocus Pocus? And you said, is it something you can watch on a plane? Yes, I believe it's on Disney Plus, so you'll be able to download that and watch that on your iPad.
I don't have an iPad.
Oh, some sort of device. I don't know, Smith, but yes.
I watch it on my gramophone.
Some bloke playing the piano while it's being projected on the TV. But yeah, so there you go. So yes, we will be covering Hocus Pocus because yeah, when we drop our next episode, it will be Halloween season, so it will be perfect. Right. So one last bit of business before we get out of here. We're just going to plug our socials. So you can email us on it doesn't hold up podcast at gmail.com. We're on Instagram at it doesn't hold up podcast. We're on Twitter or X as it's now known at doesn't hold up pod. We're on
Well,
YouTube.
you will be until we have to start paying for it.
Oh yes, yes, there will be probably coming off there. We're on YouTube at It Doesn't Hold Up Podcast, and we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other good places you listen to podcasts. And as we always say, please give us a good review on all your podcast platforms. And remember, we welcome all suggestions for things for us to cover.
And
So, yeah.
as I said, if you do want to send me hate mail to my personal address, please do. I enjoy receiving letters because it makes me feel wanted.
Oh yes, so remember to let us know if we've ruined your childhood. So, but it doesn't look like we've ruined your childhood this week. It looks like Smith had a great time with us. Cool. Okay. Any other last bit of info or nuggets of information or anything else you want to say on Mr. Bean, the ultimate disaster movie?
Sunday.
Oh yeah, we would have
That's
signed
it.
it. That's it. We could have signed this episode off for me singing it, but we're not going to. But yeah,
You can't sing.
I can't sing. No. But just before we get out of here and we regroup next time for Hocus Pocus, I just want to say to you all, do you feel lucky?